Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I am so sorry that I have been MIA for a couple of weeks. I knew July was going to be all about staying home and getting stuff done. I have so much harvest coming in from the garden right now. I'm drowning in tomatoes and potatoes, and now I have 1.5 bushels of peaches in my kitchen that need to be processed in 3 or 4 different ways that we'd like to use them. And one of the things that I decided to do for the month of July is a pantry tour that I am calling my anti-grocery haul, because we have so much food in our house. We're very intentional about our food storage and food security, and we grow a lot of our own produce. And I need sometimes this time of year to make room for that on the shelves of our pantry. So we have only gone to the grocery store twice, and it's been for just to restock like sour cream and some fresh fruit like apples and maybe a few other dairy items. I've also spent quite a few hours in my pantry cleaning things out, moving some things around, taking items out that really don't belong in the pantry and are taking up valuable food shelf space. So let's head in the pantry and I'll show you what I've been working on. If you've been around for any of my other pantry tours, which I can link some in the description below if you'd like to see some previous tours, I've moved some things around based on what we are using currently. I moved our oats to the very top shelf. There's no need for those to take up a lower shelf when they're so light and there's so many of them. So I decided to stick those on the top. This is kind of our backup corn up there. We don't go through a whole lot of corn, so I've stuck those on the top shelf. We are not currently eating a lot of pasta. Our whole family is doing Trim Healthy Mama. So we are trying to limit our processed carbs right now. And so I moved those to one of the top shelves as well. If you're new here, we are a family of 10. We live in the Midlands of South Carolina, and we strive to have about a year's worth of food in our house at a time. We have about 30 chickens. All are laying hens except for one rooster, and we are looking to get some dual purpose birds soon so that we can also process them for meat. And we have a huge garden where we are now harvesting a ton of vegetables, and one of the reasons for this pantry tour is to show some changes that I've made to move things around and make room for the harvest. So we still have this corn muffin mix. We're not going through much of that right now. As I said, we're trying to cut out some processed sugars and carbs right now and eat a little healthier for the next several months. This teriyaki sauce, and behind that is some General Tso's and sweet and sour. Those are our favorite Asian sauces that I pick up for about $2 a bottle at Aldi. These are 2 rows of Sweet Baby Ray's, just original barbecue sauce. We will use that for making barbecue chicken sandwiches. They also have a no sugar added version, and that one is really good as well. That's what we're currently using. Here is our peanut butter. You can see that one on the left had a use by date of January 2022. That will be the next one that we use. I did check our bottle of Jif, and it is not in the recall group. We have lots of mayonnaise that we use to make homemade sauces and dressings. We are actually about to go to a local farm to pick some corn with our neighbors, and then we are going to kind of have like a community-wide shucking and putting away corn for next year. So hopefully I won't have to buy any more canned corn. There's one bottle of Yum Yum sauce that I purchased from Sam's, but it's so easy to make, I don't typically buy it. Soy sauce for our favorite Asian dishes. Also, veggie fried rice is such a cheap and easy lunch to make. That will be the last of the salsa that we purchase, because I will show you in a minute that I have canned quite a bit of salsa for next year, and it's delicious. I can't wait to share the recipe with you guys. We have 1 jar of chow chow, which is like a sweet and spicy cabbage relish type condiment that's delicious on burgers and brats and hot dogs. Pimentos for making homemade pimento cheese. It looks like I am needing to restock our Worcestershire sauce. I think we have 1 left, and there's some random cocktail sauce from last Christmas. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to make our own ketchup this year, but we do have quite a bit on the shelf if I don't. There is 1 more bottle of the Asian sauce that did not fit on that shelf above. That one is General Tso's. And we've got a couple different mustards, yellow, stone ground, and Dijon. Down here we have a little collection of salad dressings. There's some Italian. The Cardini Caesar is one of our very favorites. This creamy ginger dressing is really good as well. It doesn't have quite as much flavor as I thought it would. I tried to use it as a chicken marinade a couple of months ago, and it was just a bit bland. But I'm wondering if maybe I were to grind up some fresh ginger, if that would be just enough kick to make it worth it. Over here on the side, I have 4 big bags of this buttermilk pancake mix, which you can also use to make waffles. However, this 5-gallon bucket down here was at one time full of that mix. Now we are down to about half, and we're not going to open any of those other bags and refill this bucket until this bucket is completely empty, because I don't want to bury the mix at the bottom that has a sell-by date of, maybe the end of this year. But this bucket has lasted us well over 6 months, and these bags are, goodness, they used to be like $6 or $7 a bag. I think they're about 10 now, but it's so worth it. I mean, to spend $40 maybe on a year's worth of pancake and waffle mix is pretty great. And all you do is add water for pancakes, and I think maybe a little bit of oil and an egg if you want to make waffles, but it's delicious and super convenient. Here we have a little bit of rice, and there's some organic quinoa, which we don't use very often, but it is a THM ingredient, so I need to look up some recipes to use with that. This wild rice blend is a favorite in our chicken and wild rice casserole and chicken and wild rice soup. This saffron rice blend is really tasty. It's great to make a simple meal with smoked sausage or even chicken with a side salad. These are about $6 a container at Sam's, and we have 4 of them. Back here we've got lentils and just some plain long grain white rice. And here we're getting into our home canned foods. First, we have a whole lot of homemade chicken stock. I like to can this up. It is so handy, especially in the winter when you're making soups and stews and chili and things like that. But even in the summer, when anything calls for chicken broth, I open up a can of our home canned stock. Now, this year we grew Kennebec and Pontiac red potatoes, and our harvest has been incredible. I think when it's all said and done, we will have had about 200 pounds of potatoes. So I am pretty confident that's going to last us for the next year until next year's harvest. I've debated trying to save some of them fresh, but I'm just not sure that I'm going to do that. It's so much more convenient just to have them in a jar and not have to worry about bugs or any of them going bad. We live in South Carolina. It is so warm and incredibly humid. I just don't think we would have any success storing them that way. Down here on the bottom shelf is just some random stuff like Parmesan cheese crisps and some peanut butter pretzels. There's a random bag of French fried onions and some Redmond's real salt, and my smaller Instant Pot. I also keep some bulb onions back here in a big bowl. I think I have 1 or 2 left back there, but we are about to pull our 60-foot row of onions in the garden, so hopefully I won't have to buy any for a while. Up here on top, I moved the Crisco up there. We do not use Crisco. It is basically just an emergency fat source in case we were to ever run out of healthy oils or butter. So I went ahead and put those on the top shelf out of the way, and hopefully we'll never have to use it because it's not very healthy. We've got oil lamps and some extra jars. I did take most of the extra jars that were up here on the top shelf down, washed them, and we have been putting them to use. Over there to the right, I've got lots of tomato paste. I might actually combine some of that tomato paste with our homegrown tomatoes to try out some barbecue sauce and homemade ketchup. Down here on this next shelf, we've got chicken bouillon and beef bouillon. quite a bit of applesauce left. I think there's 7 big jars in all. And we don't use this cream of chicken and cream of mushroom too often, maybe once every couple of months to make chicken spaghetti or green bean casserole, but it's still convenient to have them on the shelf. We've got some green and red enchilada sauce. I have tried my hand at homemade green enchilada sauce and it's really good. A couple emergency boxes of ramen noodles. Coconut milk for our favorite Thai and Indian dishes. Some refried beans, 1 can of artichoke hearts. We love black olives. My kids will eat them as a snack. We like to put them on pizza, and we have a few other Mexican dishes that call for them. There's 3 little cans of curry paste. There's some massaman curry and some red curry paste. That will be fantastic to use in a simple dish with chicken and potatoes and carrots or even sweet potatoes and serve it over rice. Crushed tomatoes and diced tomatoes with chilies. Again, I should not be buying tomato products for quite a while. We've got hundreds of pounds of tomatoes coming in. I even utilized a friend of mine's freezer. She has a gigantic chest freezer in her basement, and I have about 10 gallons of tomatoes waiting to be processed in their freezer. There's some green chilies. I use that with some homemade chicken stock to make the green chili enchilada sauce. Collard greens for our favorite West African peanut soup. Canned pumpkin. We love pumpkin bread and pumpkin muffins, and there are some Trim Healthy Mama recipes that utilize pumpkin. And there is some Alfredo sauce and marinara sauce. Again, hopefully we will not be buying marinara sauce again for a long time. Now we're getting into more of our home canned goods. These jars on the right, well, the ones all the way over here on the right, is our homemade salsa. I haven't counted up how many I've done yet, but it's so good that I ended up making some quarts in our last batch. I was primarily doing pints, but we were going through a pint so easily in one sitting. As a large family, I decided to do a few quarts. Then we have some fig preserves. We have a friend from church who has 2 massive old fig trees that produce like I've never seen before. They have friends on rotation to come and harvest figs like every 2 or 3 days for about a month. This is last year's cowboy candy. We had an incredible year for peppers last year. Bell peppers, banana peppers, tons of jalapenos. And so we ended up having like 2 years worth of cowboy candy. So I think I have 1 or 2 jalapeno plants this year. I actually had to get some from a neighbor to make our salsa because mine are not producing yet. This is our canned chicken and canned ground venison. And it is so convenient and handy to have canned meat on your pantry shelf. If you've never tried it, I will link my video below. Next, I've got a row of pickled banana peppers. I don't really know what I would do differently next year. The flavor is incredible. It's like a little bit spicy and tangy, and the flavor's incredible, but they're a little soggy. So I've got to figure out what to do differently next year. If you have any tips for me, please leave them in the comments below. I'm kind of wondering if maybe I grew a thinner fleshed banana pepper last year, but they're delicious and I would love to grow some more to do another batch next year. I just need to figure out how to make them a little bit crunchier. There are some canned carrots right there. I did not grow these carrots. I actually planned to plant carrots where I just pulled all of our potatoes up. But I just purchased 2 10-pound bags of organic carrots from Sam's Club a few months ago and decided to can them up, just kind of cutting them into chunks like this, and we'll throw them into soups and stews and things in the winter. This is a little controversial, but it is canned butter. You can pressure can butter. People have been doing it for decades safely. I just melted, I don't remember how many pounds. I believe about a pound ends up being a pint jar, but I melted a bunch in the crock pot on low so it didn't burn or scald, and then you pressure can it. I don't remember the time. You would have to look that up online. Also, because someone comments every single time I show my jars stacked, It is perfectly acceptable by the, I can't ever remember the name correctly, the National Home Preservation something or other. It's acceptable to stack them too high as long as you are storing them without the rings so that you can easily feel if the seal is broken. And also you put a layer of cardboard between your two different stacks of jars. Over here is our Minestrone Soup mix. This is so handy to have. You can even give it as a gift around the holidays or as a housewarming gift, but you just add 8 to 10 cups of broth and a can of crushed tomatoes and you have dinner. You could also add potatoes or fresh carrots or even ground beef or chicken if you wanted. Again, there are our potatoes. We've got some quart jars of carrots. All right, let me tell you about this green bean fail. This is my first year growing pole beans, and I did not know that pole beans have a string down the center, a string that is really not edible. It feels like there's a very thin stick in your green bean when you are taking bites. So these 6 quarts may end up being chicken food. We did cook 2 quarts and most of us did not eat them because the string was just unbearable. So I'm about to plant a whole nother crop of pole beans. We've got plenty of time for another harvest, so I'm going to replant some. And this time when we harvest them, we will snap them and pull the string out of every single bean before we process them because they are delicious. It's such a shame that these went to waste. Well, again, they're not going to go to waste. We will give them to the chickens and they won't care about the string. Here are some quarts of meat. I will definitely be doing some more canned chicken and canned venison in the coming months. I would love to get my freezers quite a bit cleared out. They're overflowing right now and I really would like to freeze some of our peaches. Over here we have quarts and quarts of pinto beans, black beans, white beans, and there is one last jar of the green chili enchilada sauce. I really like pressure canning dried beans. I soak them in the jars overnight in the fridge, rinse them, fill it with water, and pressure can them the next day. It's super easy and very handy to have on your shelf. Down here, let's see if I can adjust the light. We have 2 big gallon jars of water glassed eggs. Now, I am very sad to say we just lost 2 big gallon jars of water glassed eggs. Both of them had a cracked egg in them and one smelled so bad I thought there was something dead in the pantry. My husband went searching and searching and he brought this beautiful jar of water glassed eggs. It wasn't even discolored. And he said, "Come smell this." And I was like, I think I know that's it. We finally used some of this media crema. You find it in the Hispanic food section at the grocery store, and it is fantastic. We used it in addition to some regular milk to make vanilla pudding for banana pudding back around the 4th of July, and it was excellent. I'm definitely going to keep some of this on the shelf as a shelf-stable dairy. We've got more dried beans, some crackers. We don't keep a whole lot of crackers. There are some Aldi brand Ritz, and I believe this multi-pack is also from Aldi, and it's probably like back from the holidays. Our favorite basmati rice that we purchase at Sam's. These are, I believe, 20-pound bags. And then these little 2-gallon buckets down here are sugar. I do have some on the shelf that I'll show you in a minute, but I believe this held about 25 pounds of sugar each, if I remember correctly. And we've got these little Gamma Seal lids on them. And it's just nice to know that those are full. I don't have to purchase sugar for quite a long time, and they are safe from bugs. Up here on this top shelf, there are some canning supplies and a bin of ribbon that I used to make hair bows with for my daughters, but now they're all too old to wear hair bows. But I need to get some of these things out of here. I don't even know what's in this basket. No idea. I've got some salt, pickling salt, some pressed peanut flour. There's some other Trim Healthy Mama ingredients back there. And these grocery bags have 10-pound bags of sugar in them. I believe, well, you can see 3 bags right there, and I believe there are 4 behind there. So that's 70 pounds of sugar on that shelf. Those will be what we go through when we need sugar now. We have a big jar in our cabinet in the kitchen, and we just refill that from these bags whenever we need it. Down here, we've got that Alfredo sauce I was showing you earlier. These are 3 packs that we purchased at Sam's Club. That tuna belongs to my second oldest son that we just took to Virginia for college, so he'll pick those up when he comes home next month for an event. There's some pancake syrup that my daughters put back on the shelf. We have original and sugar-free. Neither of them are good for you, but right now the sugar-free is a healthier option than regular maple-flavored corn syrup. Molasses is fantastic to keep on hand. There's so many health benefits, but also you can use molasses to turn regular white sugar into brown sugar. These dynamic duo greens are another Trim Healthy Mama ingredient, and it is equal parts spirulina and moringa leaf powder. Really good for you. We put it in our smoothies. This is our favorite microwave popcorn. It's just the Orville Redenbacher Simply Salted. It's a nice snack for Friday night movie night. A couple other boxes along with some grits. We live in the South. We love to make cheese grits with eggs, occasionally with sausage. This is our lower carb pita bread and some low carb tortillas and flatbread. In this bin right here, I've got onion soup mix, which we put in our favorite meatloaf recipe and sometimes meatballs, and also the Knorr red seasoning that we use to make homemade Spanish rice. We picked those up at Walmart. Down on this shelf, I've got a little more room for tomatoes, and up here as well, so I'll be putting our homemade home-canned marinara sauce down here, and I'm going to have to hopefully make a whole lot more room because we've got a lot of that coming. These are just some really random items over here. Augustin Farms was having a sale a month or 2 ago on these chopped onions. We use onions a lot, and so I figured it would be fantastic to have these on hand. This is 217 servings per container. So it would be great to just have to grab, half a cup or 1 cup at a time and put it in with some soup or a casserole. I've got breadcrumbs, some dehydrated bell peppers from last year, garlic, paper lunch bags, lots of random stuff. Down here on the bottom shelf, there are other random things like tortilla chips and spicy pork rinds because those are lower carb, some distilled vinegar, some rice checks for making Chex Mix snack mix. These buckets right here one of them contains a variety of dried beans and legumes like split peas, but the other 2 have whole wheat in them, like wheat berries, soft white wheat and hard white wheat. We've also got some back here in that bucket, and this bag right here. This will not stay on the ground. Neither of those will. They will go in buckets soon. And then this is where I've got some olive oil and 1 thing of vegetable oil. If you're new here, you may be wondering about these black and blue containers, and they have our rice and flour in them. I purchased them on Amazon. I will try to find the link and link it in the description below, but they perfectly hold 25-pound bags of flour and rice, and I just rotate through them. You can kind of see that they have a sticky note taped to the top that tells me what is in them, and this is the current flour that I'm going through. So when this is empty, I'll shift these down, move that one over back to the corner, and refill it with a new bag of flour. I thought I would give you a quick glimpse into what we are bringing in from the garden right now.
I think we've pulled about 125 pounds of potatoes so far. I pulled a few of our bulb onions last week to see how they're doing, and there's also some ground cherries in there and lots of winter squash. We picked up these 3 boxes of peaches from a local peach orchard. We got them for $14 a box. These are considered seconds, so they might have some mild blemishes on them, but we are just going to peel them and use them for peach butter, peach salsa, and peach preserves. My daughter is going to help me work on that today, and we will be filming it to share with you. Friends, I hope videos like this inspire you to continue to build your food storage. If you haven't started yet, there is no better time than today to start building food security for your family. The last 2 years have helped teach us not to take any of this for granted. We are not guaranteed that grocery store shelves will be stocked every time we go in. Right now, prices have risen incredibly and have continued to rise. It's time to start growing some of your own food, get some backyard chickens, connect with local growers and farmers, and rely a little bit less on our broken food system in our country. Thanks for watching.